Hi guys, hope you're keeping well. Um, so today we're going to be looking at the Aimsir fháistineach using an dara. So we're going to be talking about two-syllable verbs, and we're going to be using the future tense. But this is similar now to the Aimsir fháistineach that we did with an céad but there are different endings for this. But all the rules now are the same. So try not to get caught up in it. And I know we've covered now a lot of content in the last 6 weeks that we've been doing verbs, but once you start to use them, so obviously we're not using them as much now when we're not in school, but when you start to use them now next year, I would say to have a note somewhere in the back of your copy, keep these rules at hand, so that after a while then as you keep using them and using them, they become second nature to you and you don't even have to look at the notes anymore. But you've been doing superb work up to now. So this is our last one of the past, present and future tense. And I'm just going to do a little bit next week on the Mocníluch, which is conditional tense. And we talked a little bit about that in school before we finished up. So but yeah, today we're going to focus on this, and we're going to nail this, and then we'll be set to go with our tenses. So the examples we have here for andarevu are two-syllable verbs. We've kiani, oskel, dushi, bali, kudal, and you can just see that you know what a syllable is from English, so we know why they are two-syllable verbs, or they're from the andarevu list. Okay, so from last week when we're doing an Aimsir, we got used to knocking off the IGH or AIGH, or some of them we had to change a little bit. So the beginning of the verb stays the same as last week, and the what's really important for all our verbs is that we have quail, lahan, lahan. So we have the broad with the broad. So the AOU goes with the AOU, or the I and D, which are the narrow, go with the I or E. Okay. The gutta then this is our main rule with our Aimsir fháistineach, and with most of our verbs, with our tenses, is that we look at the last vowel that's in the verb. Now, not the last vowel before we shorten it down. So you have to find the root of your verb for the particular tense first, and then you look at the last vowel. So, for example, Canny, CEANNAIGH. We don't look at I as the last vowel because we haven't shortened it yet. So we shorten it to Cian, CEANN, and then A is our last vowel. Okay. So here are two endings to look at. So if the last vowel is A, O, or U, it gets an O for the IDH ending. And I know some of us would have even been doing this without even realizing, because I would have seen it in your copies in our stories and in tense work already. We would have been writing Kianoi, Iroi, etc. So if the verb root ends in an, or the last vowel is an I or an E, it gets EOIDH. So they're the two big things to remember from this slide, is the two endings, alright? So here are some examples of the verbs that we're going to be working with, and we're going to use 3 of them to do our examples this week. And if you can do these 3 or 4, you can do any verb that you come across, whether you know the meaning of it or not. Once you follow these rules step by step, you'll be able to translate any as of now actually you'll be able to translate any verb or any verb that's given to you into the past, present or future, whether it's from Andara Revu or on Céad Revu. You will have it mastered, alright? Okay, so we have here Kenny. Then we knock off the AIGH, and we talked about this last week now with an Aimsir. And when you have the AIGH, then you have your new ending, or your new root, sorry, which is Cian, C-E-A-N-N. Then with that, you look at the last vowel within that verb. So here we can see A is our last vowel. Look up at our rules. A over U gets O for the IDH. So Cianoi me, Cianoi tu, Cianoi she, Cianoi she, Cianoi shiv, Cianoi sheed. And you see now I've left out shin again this week because shin or we just is a little bit different. But again, I know some of us have used the proper endings for shin before, so hopefully it won't be too bad. And we'll go through it at the end. Here's our next example, douchey. So we knock off our IGH. With our root, then we have a new root douche, DU for the IS. We look at the last vowel, it's an I. So up to our rules then, I or E gets EOIDH. So douchoi me, douchoi tu, douchoi she, douchoi she, douchoi shiv, douchoi sheed. And again, I've left out the shin, but we'll work on that at the end, okay? So it's just about implementing this rule over and over and over again, okay? Now, there are some endings that are some verbs that don't end in IGH or AIGH, and this is what we usually do with them. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule, but we just want to get a good grasp on our fháistineach for now, and a little understanding here of the irregular rules. But don't worry so much about this. If it's really confusing you, just leave it out for now, and we'll revisit it when you're back at school. All right. So if your verb ends in AIL, AIN, AIS, or AIR, what we usually do is we get rid of the ending. So we get rid of this AIL, AIN, AIS, or AIR, and then the last consonant that was on that ending, we put that back into along with the root of the verb. All right. So if it's L, N, S, or R. So here's our example. So Oscal, OSCAIL, and if I get rid of this AIL then, so I'm just left with OSC, but I look at the last consonant, it's an L, so then I put it back in. So OSCL, that's my root for here. Then when I have that done, I have to look at my last vowel, that's an O. So up here to our rules again, O goes with O for the IDH. So Oscloi me, Oscloi tu, Oscloi she, Oscloi she, Oscloi shiv, Oscloi sheed. For shin or muid then, or when we're talking about we as a group, we've two different endings. Okay, so we've OIM, O for the IMID, or EOIMID. And it's the same idea here. It's quail, lahan, lahan. So actually should have had this written in, but it's actually the similar anyway each time. So we see here there's an O at the beginning of this, so that has to go with an A, O, or U because they're broad. An E here, it's narrow, so it has to go with an I or an E. So if your last vowel is A, O, or U, you're using the O for the IMID, or if it's I or E, you're using the E, so EOIMID. Okay, and I just did some examples here of the three verbs that we did already. So cian, douche, and usk with the L. So these three verbs have been done already, but we left out the shin part. So we're going to go down here now and see see what they look like when we add in our new endings. So the last vowel in Cian is A, so that goes with broad as well. So O father. So Cian O Image. Last vowel in Douche is I, so that goes with narrow. So that's E. So Douche O Image. And Uskle, the last vowel is O, so that goes with broad as well. So it's Usklo Image. Alright, so when you have these written in, you don't write, for example, Ciano Image Shin. You leave out the person part because that's included here. Alright, so you just, if you're talking about we bought chips yesterday. Ciano Image Scaloga Prati Inye. Alright, so you don't need to put in any person part with these verbs. So that makes it maybe a little bit easier, maybe more confusing, but once you can do this once, you can do it all the time, alright? And it's similar to the Aimsir with Tancéad Revu. Okay, so I just have the list of verbs to be they're irregular verbs to be aware of. You don't have to worry about them too much. They're put into the future tense here for you already. So so most of these you will already be using the frequent ones. So so it's just about getting familiar with them as you work with them during your Irish written work. So now we have four verbs here that you can give a go on your copy, and just use the same rules over and over again. And as I said already, I advise you to write them out, put them in your back of your Irish copy, put them in a folder or somewhere where they're at arm's length when you're writing, when you're doing your Irish work, whether it be in school or at home. It's always handy just to have them there beside you. So crunny, to gather, ivry, to number, meowry, to meditate, and kiangle, to connect. So you're going to try and change these four into the Aimsir and go all the way from Maid to Shead, including the Muid part where you're talking about we, and let me know how you get on. If there's anything that's causing difficulty, just let me know through an email, and I'll try and help you any way I can. All right.